Now, did you know that gin and tonic is called Ginto in Belgium and in the Netherlands, gin tonic in Germany, Italy, and France, and GNT in Australia and United Kingdom? This cocktail may have numerous names from one country to another, but it still has one unique and sole history to be remembered, and that is saving the British Empire. Welcome to Advanced Mixology. Today we're going to talk about the origin of this drink and how these two drinks meet and how did it become so popular among the Brits. Now let's start with the history of gin. What do you know about gin? Well, the history of gin is pretty long and complicated. It all started with juniper berries. Some would say that gin was made in the Middle Ages by the monks who would add juniper to spirits, but others would argue that it was first invented in the 17th century by a Dutch chemist and used it to cure all sorts of illnesses. The word gin comes from the French term genever, which means juniper, an ingredient found in its production process. Gin became the official drink of the court when King William III came to the throne. These led to its expansion in England with hundreds of distilleries. This made the drink famous, but not for long. While ale is seen as a decent drink, gin has deemed as a drink that erodes the morals of those who drink it. Multiple issues arose in drink's name, such as harmful chemicals being mixed with it or people resorting to violence to attain money to buy it. The spirit plummeted when people thought that drinking too much could lead them down an inevitable path towards addiction, sickness, or even death. The government passed several laws regarding its production and consumption to control the abuse. And just when it was almost too late to save its reputation, gin met tonic. Now let's talk about the history of tonic. Around the same time as the expansion of gin, a cure for various ailments called Jesuit's bark was found. Native legend says that a man with fever who wanders in the forest finds a stagnant pool one day and decides to drink from it. He thought that he had been poisoned due to the very bitter taste of the drink, which he believed was from the quina trees surrounding the pool. But to his surprise, his fever went down instead. From then on, people would use the tree's bark to treat fever. A Eurocentric point of view insinuates that the Spanish Countess of Chinchon fell sick while touring around Peru. The bark of a tree is said to have healed her, and anyone who suffers a fever is given the bark to treat it from that day forward. Either of which story is true or came first, the world can agree that the fevers they caught most probably stemmed from malaria, and that what cured them both is the presence of quinine in the tree bark. The healing properties of quinine to prevent and treat malaria were soon well known, but its foul, bitter taste makes it unbearable to most people. To solve this, they would mix in sugar and soda water, which we now know as tonic. Since gin was famous among the British troops, it is unknown as to who had the idea of mixing it with tonic. But regardless of that, the idea of mix started spreading like wildfire and soon enough became a favorite. This elevated gin's reputation to become one of the upper-class health drinks. Well, how did gin and tonic meet? If there are drinks that have been around for many centuries, well, no questions asked, it is gin and tonic. These drinks have been one of the top choices for drinkers until today. But the question now is, how did these two drinks become so popular together? When the troops were ordered to malaria-infested areas, they took tonic water, which contains quinine as ingredient. The taste of this medicinal drink wasn't exactly what these brave soldiers had been longing for. So when the gin ran out or became unavailable during combat situations, G&T mixologists found themselves with an invention. And that is the first ever cocktail. British soldiers in India discovered that they could mix gin with lime and tonic water to make it more enjoyable for their afternoon refreshments, which led them to come up with one of today's most popular drink, the G&T. Here's what happens when you combine gin and tonic. The molecules in the gin attract similar ones from the tonic, which causes them to aggregate when they come in contact with each other. And this changes how it tastes. Tonic water can be boring if you don't mix it with anything else. But what happens when we mix in some salt? The flavors change. Now let's get to know the G&T. Gin and tonic is a match made in heaven. The similarities between the ingredients create new flavors when they come together, which makes this drink perfect not only for any occasion, but also for all season. This has been a popular drink for centuries and around the world, especially in the parts of the United Kingdom, where it's often referred to as just G&T. It also goes by different names depending on which country you're located in. This drink has a long history of being served with lime. This is still how you enjoy your favorite drink in many parts of the world, but not everyone feels that way. As for its serving glass, it is most commonly served in a balloon glass. Drinking a gin and tonic with a balloon glass is said to enhance the aromas of your favorite spirit. Gin and tonic are more than just a drink to enjoy. They have saved countless Englishmen's lives. Winston Churchill himself even declared that this might seem preposterous or funny, but would he lie? How G&T saved the British Empire. Winston Churchill once said, "The gin and tonic has saved more Englishmen's lives and minds than all the doctors in the empire." It's not a coincidence that it was created by the Brits during colonial times when they had an empire spanning across much of the globe. It wasn't just any drink either. It helped conquer India with its refreshing taste. And the story goes like this. The British Empire was in decline by early 1800s. The Industrial Revolution caused many people to move to the cities, leaving rural areas underpopulated. The empire was downward and the English became less powerful as they lost more colonies. The British Empire was on the verge of collapse when they were introduced to gin. The British troops stationed in India would drink gin and tonic to help them cool down and relax. Because of India's hot and humid climate, gin and tonic was the perfect beverage. Until such time that it became popular with locals and they started calling it Ginny and Tonic, or G&T. Gin and tonic are often thought of as a drink that created the British Empire. This is actually not true, but the drink did play an important role in keeping the British Empire together. Surprisingly, this cocktail saved British Empire because they gave the English troops a reason to stay in India. Gin and tonic became a staple of trade for the British Empire. When they discovered that gin could be made from juniper berries, they began to trade their gins with Indians in exchange for their spices. They found that drinking gin and tonic treated not only malaria, but also other diseases that plagued overseas. Gin and tonic became the drink of choice for many British soldiers stationed in tropical areas. The British government even distributed quinine to its troops to make their own versions. Gin and tonic became an important part of British culture and society. The combination of gin and tonic soon became known as the saviors of British Empire. With this, the British could stay healthy and protect themselves from diseases. But gin and tonic's benefits didn't stop there. In fact, they were also responsible for helping to win several battles during the British Empire's reign. One is the Battle of Rorke's Drift, where a small group of British troops held off an entire regiment of Zulu warriors by using gin and tonic as their main form of defense. The gin and tonic were indeed a godsend for British Empire. Overall, it saved the British Empire because it was a way to keep the people happy, making them less likely to rebel. This may sound like a simple reason, but it's more of a big celebration to them. Gin also helped with trade because it was something that the English could trade with other countries. Now let's find out what gin and tonic is today. The popularity of gin and tonic spread to the civilian population. Gin shops began popping up all over London and other cities. Gin became so popular that it was nicknamed Mother's Ruin. These two continued to be popular in Britain, even after the British Empire declined. Today, gin and tonic are still a favorite drink of many Brits and popular in some parts of the world, especially in hot and humid weather because it's the perfect thirst-quenching drink and a great way to relax after a long day. Early tonic water made with quinine, which gave it an interesting taste. Nowadays, most commercial versions have less quinine or don't use them at all because the synthetic variant is more bitter than the natural ones. It also does not have much medicinal benefit either, but some people still prefer them for their unique flavor. The modern-day tonic usually contains sweetener to make up for lost sweetness in order to not overwhelm your palate when you're trying something new. But if we want our drinks truly bitter, We recommend going old school by adding fresh lemon or lime straight into a glass before pouring over ice cubes. Today's gin and tonic may have the recommended gin brands to use and the right amount of tonic to add, but it's not a cure for malaria today. The gin to use for your GNT should be the London Dry Gin. It's a perfect drink for those who love light and dry gin. With juniper as its prominent flavor, this type of spirit makes an excellent GNT due to how well it goes well with tonic water. For tonic, it should have an Indian twist. The classic GNT is always better with an Indian tonic water. You can't go wrong when drinking it. There are hundreds of small batch tonic producers, each doing something special. The premium Indian tonic water can be found in bars and shops all over the globe, but there's one more producer who deserves your attention, and that is Fever Tree. Gin and tonic lovers will be happy to know that there are plenty of bars out there where you can get your drink on. You might want it strong or maybe just with a little extra flavor in the form of an ice cold glassful. But no matter how much gin is put into your GNT, the ratio between elixir's components always remain 1:3. So don't worry about going too far. Many people are still enjoying gin and tonic today. Whether you're looking for a way to relax after a long day or want to celebrate a special occasion, gin and tonic is the perfect drink for you. Try it out for yourself and see what the fuss is all about. You won't be disappointed. Without gin and tonic, the British Empire would have collapsed much sooner. So next time you enjoy a refreshing gin and tonic, remember that you are drinking a piece of history. Cheers! So what do you think about the unlikely story of gin and tonic saving the British Empire? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And for gin lovers out there, you might want to check out our videos of 10 best gins that you must try. Also, you can check out more featured contents by visiting our channel. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Advanced Mixology.